The following program, Thai Ties, brought to you by Singa Beer, the original Thai beer since 1933. And Tangola Asian, the specialist supply of Thai food, grocery in Victoria. Visit tangolafood.com.au to find out how to order.
Last time on Thai Ties, I went out to Chiang Mai where my auntie Du told me all the things that I could get up to in the beautiful north of Thailand, some of which included interaction with tigers, monkeys and elephants, and of course gliding across the rainforest and mountains of Chiang Mai. Welcome to another edition of Thai Ties. I'm your Thai Australian host Daniel Ratnapinta, and this time around I'm going to have a look at the more traditional side of Thai culture that is still thriving within the south of Bangkok. And of course we're going to go through our cultural teachings just to learn that Thai culture that I've been immersed in over the past few weeks. There'll be all that and more right after this. So, let's look back at my time in Thailand so far. First, leaving Australia to reunite with my father, getting involved in Thai football on multiple levels, figuring out the do's and don'ts when getting around Bangkok's ever-chaotic streets, meeting my grandmother, being hit on by a ladyboy in Sukhumvit whilst looking into its nightlife, discovering Thai food on multiple levels, from street vendor to fancy restaurants, from chicken feet to raw chilies, which of course didn't go down too well later on. And then of course last week, as aforementioned, going out to Chiang Mai to have some fun along with my auntie Du's advice. That advice of course consisted of chilling out with these gigantic tigers. It was so awesome being so close with Thailand's animals. And someone else who was with me was my sister, Melissa. Now she had only recently arrived in Thailand, and this was the first time I'd seen her in about a month. And I was hoping she'd learn as much Thai as me. So I assume her silence was primarily jet lag. Therefore, the next day, I elected to assure she enjoyed the Thailand the way I had been, day in, day out. And what better way of transport than my personal favourite, the wind motorcycle.
Well Dan, after you so graciously chucked me onto a wind motorcycle for the first time ever, which I wasn't too happy about, I found for myself that the road rules really don't seem to apply in Bangkok. While I was clinging on to this total stranger for dear life, this guy was busy taking me through the back streets, up the highway, even though I'm pretty sure he wasn't supposed to be. I certainly had no helmet, and it was quite an experience. Then I arrived at Tesco Lotus. So I paid the driver 60 baht, which is a fair price, and wired him to the best of my ability, something I was keen to perfect at the time. Inside Tesco Lotus, I found that the shopping centre was no bigger than a Centro in suburban Melbourne. This stocked anything from groceries to electronics to motorcycle helmets, which I happened to be in the market for after my brother graciously threw me onto that bike. I wasn't going to need it though, because I was going to take a tuk-tuk home. So I didn't like 2 wheels, but I thought I'd see if 3 wheels would be any better. So I got back to my hotel. Didn't know where my brother was, but my dad was pretty keen to take me to see some real shopping. After consulting with the security guard, he decided to take me to MBK. MBK is a shopping centre in central Bangkok, situated right next to Siam Paragon, Siam Square, and next to the National Stadium. MBK, or Mabung Krong as it is fully named, is a shopping centre with over 2,500 stores to be found. And as the Thai people build up, not out, there are 8 incredible floors to explore. And unbelievably, just 5 minutes down the road, there is yet another shopping centre with around 2,500 stores inside. It just shows how deeply ingrained shopping is in the vast city of Bangkok. When we arrived at MBK, I was so excited to get in there that I almost forgot to close this guy's door. This shopping centre brings in more than 100,000 visitors per day and fits it all into just 140,000 square metres. The escalators in MBK are so dizzying to look down from that almost anyone could gain a fear of heights here. It's also incredibly easy to get lost. It took us like 10 minutes just to figure out how big this place was. This place even has an entire floor dedicated to mobile phones. I can see how they managed to get 2,500 stores into this place. They've got thousands of stores just on this one level. great and everything, but it's the clothing and the fashion here that really makes an impact. You can get brand name stuff for like $20, when regularly in the shops in Australia it's like $100 or $200. It's a phenomenal saving, and the exchange rate really treats us Aussies well. The massive variety of stores seems to stop at nothing. You can find anything from furniture stores to beauty centres, camera centres, suits for the boys, shoes for the girls, department stores that resemble Myer or David Jones. And get this! On Wednesday nights, it's fight night. Tourists and locals alike flock to see this display of Muay Thai, where competitors of both men and women go at it. Speaking of going at it, me and my dad had found a little arcade in level 7. My dad's always been into video games, but I think he was a little too into it here. I really didn't understand this punching bag thing. I think I took my dad's turn, not sure. There was even a cinema near the top floor. This place is massive. Me and my dad had a ball just marveling in all the glory of the place. In summary, this place is chaotic. I can understand why so many Thai people regard this as the top shopping centre, not only in Bangkok, but in all of Thailand. One day was not enough to get my head around 8 levels of madness. So that was it for MBK, and me and my dad decided to walk down the street and see if we could find Siam Paragon. Now, Siam Paragon is a bit of a luxury shopping centre. This is where you can find some of the top brands of the world. They've got Gucci stores, Louis Vuitton, you name it, I'm pretty sure they had it, but we didn't really look at that. We're actually more interested in the food. Cakes, cakes and more cakes. It was just a plethora of beautiful cakes. We weren't even thinking about Gucci when we had all this in front of us. And just when I thought I'd found a piece of home and I thought I'd found a bread top, but I just found a bread talk. Meanwhile, my brother was at the Asiatic market on the riverside. Anyway, Dan, over to you.
Yeah, cheers Mel. I'd been chilling out on the riverside. However, what had I been up to all day? Well, briefly, I'd been playing FIFA in my hotel room for hours before going out to a sports bar in Sukhumvit and watching the Manchester derby with hundreds of other Man U fans. United won 3-2. Then leaving the sports bar and taking a wind motorcycle to the Chao Phraya River to take a gorgeous free river cruise where I'd chill out for a bit before getting to the Asiatic market on the riverside. As far as history regarding the river and the market goes, the pier that sits outside Asiatic market played a huge role in international trade between Siam and European nations in the early 1900s. Today, that same area which the East Asiatic pier occupies is being restored to the original glory under the name Asiatic the Riverfront. It's easy to access via the river and the roads. It has 40 stunning restaurants, live performances, top brands of everything you can imagine. It is a luxury and rich market for prices next to nothing. It's open 5 p.m. to midnight and consists of an astonishing 1,500 stores. So I just stopped by and got a killer bargain and bought a few football shirts for 300 baht each, and I actually found that I was spending way too much even with the bargains, and I was due back to meet with my sister and dad regardless, as it was his birthday that night. So I took the river cruise back, took a wind motorcycle 9 k's away to Siam Paragon.
As my dad and I were awaiting Daniel's arrival from his fancy river cruise, we decided to grab some Swensons. Swensons is an ice cream franchise popular across all of Thailand. It also happens to be my dad's absolute favourite, so what better place to take him for his 60th birthday. Now Daniel made it back just in time to get the whole staff to sing happy birthday to my dad. Now, our dad's birthday is actually on December 31st, so in essence, he's not the only one celebrating at that time of year. We completely lost track of time with all of our shopping expeditions, and before we knew it, we looked up and everybody was counting down.
It was 2013, or should I say, Songpan 13 นะครับ Okay, there'll be more Thai Ties right after the break when I go out to the floating market, and of course Ron will make us some beautiful sai. Stay tuned.